are going pro! Both my brothers, Dalton and Kanaan, going pro on the same night, and they didn't see it coming. But before we show you more of the footage from that night, let's go back to the beginning and show you the journey of what it took for them to get here. So when I was 12 years old, I was the first one to get a skateboard. I saved up some money. Dalton and Kanaan would also like to ride it. Shortly after that, they got their own boards. Back then, we were just riding down our driveway, riding down the sidewalk. And it wasn't until my 13th birthday, I told my parents I wanted my birthday party to be at Vans Skatepark.
I remember the first time we went to Vans for Destin's birthday.
You know, Dalton and Kanaan were like 8 and 10, and we went to Vans. I skateboarded for a little bit, but I never gravitated that I could do it. So when Kanaan and Dalton, you know, started doing it, I said, well, they're just going to be in here kind of tooling around. They'll struggle with it. And I would drop them off and leave. And I didn't really go see them for the first 6 months. Their mom was there, you know, with them because they were young, so she stayed with them.
I remember having some friends down from Jacksonville. They came to visit us for spring break and stay at our house. And they couldn't wait to go to Vans Skatepark. By Wednesday, they were ready to go home. And they loved skateboarding, but I'm like, why are you guys ready to go home? They're like, Destin, Dalton, and Kanaan, they want to skate for hours. We are worn out. And that's what they did. They ate, slept, drank it, skateboarding 24/7.
Later, I had to pick them up one time that she left, so I went in there and I'm looking for them, and I figured they're in the beginner section or something, and I look over and I hear someone go, wow, look at those kids, and they go, I wonder whose kids those are. And then I looked and they were on the vert ramp, and I go, oh, those are my kids. I'm like, dang, what? You know, and I was shocked that they could drop in and do all these things in there where I couldn't even never do that. And then I knew right then, they were hooked.
My husband, Mr. Mr. Dern, said, look around, get used to this place. You're gonna be here a lot. And he was right.
Vans, growing up, that's where we met so many of our friends. That's where we learned a lot of our tricks.
What an advantage they had to just skate that park with all the obstacles.
And it wasn't just Vans. Our parents would take us to all kinds of skate parks in the area. Skate Park. We'd get to go to Skate Park of Tampa. Our parents would take us to Kona. So we were all over the place. Our parents, I'm sure it was very convenient for them that we all wanted to do the same thing and just wanted to skate all the time.
And in the early days, Dalton did a lot of vert skating. You know, then when he hit where he could do a 540 on it, was pretty special. He was like 12 and he started throwing 540s.
You better film that good.
I learned it first over a 4-foot hip early grab, mute, and I would travel it as far as I could because they would cut the spin and make it way easier to do. So the first ones I was doing were just early grab, travel, 5 over the hip.
He was able to figure out how to 540 at such a young age. Even to this day, he's still got 540s on lock, and he's 540'd pretty much anything from like the tallest vert ramp I can think of, down to something as small as a Jersey barrier. I've seen him early grab whip some 540s on mini ramps. There's nothing that Dalton can't 540.
He loved the street too, and a lot of his guys, everybody were street guys, so he flipped over to there, but he still has, you know, can do the bowl and the transition, and he's good on a mini ramp and everything. And Kanaan's the rail master, so you know he hits those rails and does all those crazy stunts on those. So They have their own style, but they're a lot alike too.
At such a young age, I saw this in them. They would go for it.
Well, that's one of my attempts there. They kind of hurt. Oh!
And they weren't afraid to get hurt. And they wouldn't let it stop them either. Kanaan would take the gnarliest slams. He would have to go to the hospital.
They were waiting at the emergency room after Kanaan's tremendous fall. Now here we are getting the CAT scan. There's Kanaan going into the machine. There's the doctor that's putting him in the machine. Hopefully everything will check out.
And then like a week later, all he wants to do is go back to the skate park so he can land the trick. You know, even when we weren't able to get out to the skate park every day, we had stuff to skate at our house. You know, our parents would buy us all of those flat bars that we could skate, and then we had all those plastic quarter pipes and kicker ramps. Eventually, we got our own mini ramp in the backyard. At some point, we even got the fiber rider. That was really cool of our mom and dad to allow us to just continually grow the backyard skate area.
You know, I'd say when they got about 13, 14, they were wanting to shoot their own videos, and that would mean they'd go out, leave the park, and they'd be at street spots. And, you know, sometimes I'd get a call from, you know, an Orange County sheriff telling me that I have to come get my kids. They've been trespassed from a spot.
You guys know how in the state of Florida, if you're on school property, the school's closed, it's a misdemeanor crime to get arrested.
Jeff and I got kind of used to getting called on the weekends for trespassing.
Whoa, dude! What are you doing? What are you doing?
We just knew we were going to get that call.
Yeah, I got a message for you guys from the management. Guess what it is?
No skateboard.
Can't skate here?
It's more like get out of here, but you're pretty close.
And when the police department or the sheriff would call, they'd say, "Do you know where your son is?" I guess we acted a little dumb, like, "No, where are they? I thought they were skating at the skate park." No, they're being trespassed and they cannot skate here anymore.
You guys have permission to be here?
Nah, we're leaving.
I hated that, so I'd have to go find them and then see if they weren't doing something crazy or if they were just, you know, skating all right, and then I'd pick them up and bring them home.
I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with the skating because they weren't doing any harm to anybody. They just wanted to get skate clips.
We wanted to make skate videos, even when we were younger. Our mom would let us borrow her camera, and then at some point, you know, I was telling her I want a VX 2100. Sure enough, for my birthday, I got a VX. Then at that point, we were really able to go out and film our own skate videos. Over the years, we kept upgrading our cameras, but being able to have cameras around us that young really helped out a lot.
Once Dalton started doing contests, that was a whole new world.
3, 2, 1.
He had a lot of good moments in the contest in his early years, and they both did well in the Dam-Ams, placing pretty high. And it's funny, they kind of would place real close to each other in those.
We would travel out of town all the time for contests. I mean, especially Dalton. He was going to other states to compete. If there was a contest that Dalton wanted to enter, then my parents would do a good job of making sure he was there.
And what I was so impressed about with Dalton is that I felt like at that age, he was maybe 13 or 14, he was pretty shy, but he wasn't shy when it came to skateboarding.
Here goes Dalton Pickling Melon out of the park.
He was in an X Games.
It didn't even faze him that Tony Hawk was there and a lot of other pros with an audience, and he was of course skating the amateur, but when it came to skating, he wasn't shy.
And he was at the Maloof Cup. He sent in a video to get one of the spots in the Maloof Cup and got it. And we went out there and he did that contest.
The old Hendrix will agree. That's what they call it in Brandon. There we go, we got something over the mini mega. 50, hang on! Yes! Yeah, Dalton Dern came out of nowhere.
He did the Protect Bowls, a lot of those.
Look at that. McTwist on the peninsula.
He did the Vans one in Canada, and he was the first person ever to make the gap there.
Dalton Dern just did it! Oh my God! Dalton Dern is the first person ever to do the Hastings transfer. History was made.
It's been 15 years in the making to see someone do that gap, and so to see it happen live, man, it's unprecedented. The boy is on fire, and I love him.
That gap can be done. First to do it with Dalton Dern. So from now on, it's Dalton's gap.
And that was probably one of the highlights of his earlier career.
That led to skating out of town and just going with their friends and filming. We'd go on vacations.
Our family vacations no longer were about like, let's go to an amusement park or let's go to see this historic monument. It was, hey, let's go to California and visit famous skate spots. Every summer we would be going to Vegas or California, and our mom and dad would just drive us around and take us to the Carlsbad Gap.
Okay, time to go.
Time to land it.
Yo!
Yes!
Or Hollywood High. And it was really cool that, you know, they were just willing to take us to all the different skate parks and skate spots and make the trip about us and skateboarding.
All right? A little bit. Ow! Freaking hurt.
The boys would always want to have a filmer come along, one of their friends, and I would be like, I don't understand, why do we have to have this extra person come along? Well, I realized in the early days, Mom, if we land a trick, we need evidence. We need that trick to be filmed. I'm like, got it. All right, the filmer's got to come along.
We also got to go to Camp Woodward a few times, and you know, that place was so much fun. So we got to stay a week or two there every summer. And then Dalton and Kanaan just kept getting better and better. I think just having the balance of skating at a skate park and going to actual street spots, it really elevated their skating very quickly. And you know, they were able to work on skate parts for actual like local skate videos. Daylando, TJ Gaskill. Troy Vitry made a few videos. Tommy Bond, and you know, they killed it in all of those videos.
As they got better, it's like they had to keep raising the bar of what they could do. I remember when they did 6 stairs and that was something. Then it was, you know, an 8 stairs. Then it was Piedmont's 12. And then Oviedo's 17. You know, then it was a 20 stair, 27. You know, Dalton did a 33 stair. Over the years, that just kept building.
You know, Dalton started picking up sponsors very quickly. He was on Etnies for a long time, got on Tactics. He got on Lifeblood. He started traveling out on his own, going to Oregon, going to California on all these trips and filming some legit video parts.
Dalton Dern, right for Lifeblood Skateboards. Are you ready? Here he goes, coming in hot.
He's skating actually at the Dude Tour, and Bryce Kanice saw him and gave him an opportunity on Lifeblood.
Yeah, I got to go up to Oregon a lot, did a lot of camping trips. We'd go up to SF. They would, you know, fly me all around. Like spent my first nights, you know, with just the clothes on my back on the concrete floor, you know, like really, like, you know, learned how to, you know, be a man on that trip. what it takes, you know.
Right.
I always thought Dalton would be the last one to leave the Dern home, to move out. He was the first one.
Death is the answer to my prayers.
And why I thought that is because back in the early years when he was younger, he was a couch potato. He played video games, drank Coca-Cola, ate gum, and just ate a lot of junk food. He doesn't do that anymore. He set his mind to feeling like that was my goal. I want to move to California.
I remember one contest he entered. It was in like Germany.
The man's got style for miles. Dalton Dern, yes.
And I thought it was so crazy that he was, you know, in another country competing.
Dalton Dern killing it in the deep end right now. There's the big twist out of a lip slide over the channel.
Jeez.
540 back to back, mute grab, and then backside grab, and then the hat grab.
He ended up winning some money from that contest. You know, that's the money he needed to move out to California.
I remember him texting me because I don't think he could call outside the country. And he goes, "Mom, do you think that I can move to California now?" And I go, "Well, you know what, Dalton, I think you've got enough money." He didn't have a car that first year. I think it was a little rough, but he lived with a couple roommates and he found a house and they made it work. And that was 10 years ago when Dalton moved to California.
Yeah! Kanaan moved out, you know, a couple years later.
He was a little more hesitant. I even remember Jamie Thomas saying, "Kanaan, what are you waiting for?"
So I had heard about Kanaan before I met him. I just heard there was this kid from Florida that jumps on big rails and he'll try anything.
Oh! Yes, I tried it. That hurt so bad.
And I remember not really knowing much about him beyond that. And then I met him at Graffiti Skate Zone in Melbourne, Florida, or Palm Bay. It was him and his mom. It seemed like I already should know him. Maybe I met him before that, but I just didn't put the connection together. But yeah, I mean, his skating was exactly that. He jumped on big rails and did all this stuff. Zero was flowing in boards, but I didn't have like, you know, a personal investment into Kanaan's relationship with Zero. But after I met him and started to see kind of like some of the stuff he was doing, I was like, whoa, I really want to work with this kid. You know, he had a local video that came out that I thought was good. I didn't really have a way for him to plug in, being in Florida full time. I didn't have a way for him to plug into the brand. And so I thought just as an affiliate or being on Flow, it would probably stoke him out to re-edit some of his footage and kind of make it like a Zero-esque edit. So he could kind of imagine what it would be like if he did kind of go through with moving to California or being closer to the brand or making a full video part happen. My goal was just to like, you know, I guess start a project with him. I didn't want to wait an extended period of time in order for him to gather all the footage in order to do something with him. So I thought a re-edit project would be fun for me and not really that difficult. And that was his Heads Will Roll part. That was like the formal beginning of our relationship, where it was like, went from just giving him boards to like doing something with him, with the brand. And by that point, I'd seen the future. You know, I'd seen the future potential of us working together and him riding for Zero and, you know, eventually turning pro.
So one summer, he finally decided to make the move, and he wasn't out here too long before taking a trip back to Florida. He was set to go back to California until he tore his ACL.
I tore my ACL on Go Skateboarding Day trying to kickflip this railroad gap. Tampa always does like, what is it, Wild in the Streets? And they were like $20 for kickflip, and I was like, oh yeah, I got that. And I didn't, showed up, got there just in time, didn't warm up, and then my knee just buckled left right when I hit the ground.
He had to stay home for a little while and go through surgery, and doctor said, Kanaan, if you want to skate again, just let this heal, follow my instructions. Kanaan actually did it. He went to therapy.
That's when our backyard ramp really expanded, because he couldn't skate, but he could build. And it gave him something to look forward to for when he healed up.
That kind of set him back, but then he got back, leg came back stronger.
After he healed up, he headed back to California. And he got a lot more serious skating with Zero at that point.
So when Kanaan finally moved to California, I really think that he set his goals high, especially with Zero, and he knew what he needed to do, and he just kept trying to kill it. The Dern brothers, I love watching their dreams come true. If that is what they want to stick with, I tell them, don't give up.
They were eating, sleeping, drinking, and their brother Destin was there too, and they just loved skateboarding. And you know, they shortly after that told me they wanted to go pro in skateboarding. I said, well, you put in the time and the effort, you know, things can happen.
First time I saw Dalton skating, he had sent me some clips on Instagram.
It was a lot of guts for me to, you know, send this message on Instagram, but I was like, hey man, you know, I love the video. I just came out with this part, you know, I've been a big fan of the company I love his art, like the eyeball, all the eyeball stuff and everything.
He's the best.
It sort of works that way sometimes, you know, like I'll look through Instagram and be like, oh, that's good, oh, that's sick, you know, that, and it'll be like one or two tricks that really sort of speak to me. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. Like every trick was like really good. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And we weren't really looking to put people on at the time, but he was just like, hey, can I get a few boards? And I was like, well, okay, yeah, cool. Like, I'll send you some boards. Didn't really know like how much he knew about the brand and how, you know, invested he was in it.
The box came and I was so happy, and I've been so stoked ever since. You know, like when you see the art on your board, and it just makes you that much more stoked to go and ride.
He shot me some footage with riding the boards, and I was like, oh, okay. He seems to do pretty good on these things. The footage just seemed to start getting better and better.
The first trip we took was to Sacramento. Kanaan didn't really talk a whole lot on that trip. I think he was going through something at the time. It almost seemed like he was eerily emotionless, but doing the gnarliest stuff. And we were all kind of in awe. He would throw out a trick idea and look at us and just be completely even about his suggestion. And we were all like, did he just say he wants to try this? And then within a few tries, he would do it. Like he was a Terminator. He was just there to like kill it, and that was his focus. And I remember being kind of tripped out, like, dude, you just kickflip grinded this. Like, how are you not stoked? And I think he was going through something that was taking a lot of his emotional bandwidth, but the opportunity was there to do something with Zero, and he showed up in a big way. And I remember just thinking like, wow, this kid is really gnarly. He's got zero hesitation and he just jumps on whatever. From a skating perspective, we all were able to see what he was capable of. But from a personality level, I didn't feel like we got to know him at all.
The first time I met up with Dalton, I think it was just me and him, and we skated cornside. We were just skating like the little dinky DIY, and he was like, ollieing these huge gaps and doing all this stuff, and I was like, whoa, okay, this guy's the real deal. Dalton skates really different to everyone on the team. I was worried that they were like, oh, we're not really feeling that guy because he skates like this way, but every time he's met up with us, everyone's like, he's so cool, we really like him, he jumped off that roof. It's really interesting to have him in the mix.
I think it wasn't until Kanaan moved to California and we started seeing him more often, and then I offered him a part-time job, that I really started to get to know him and know, like who he was. I really appreciated, as I got to know him, like, his work ethic and his background and how much he loved his family and just all the things that were important to him. And then I also got to, encourage him and kind of help him with his process. He already had the formula for how to get tricks on film, but it was like how to find spots that are memorable, how to build a video part. And that was basically the few years leading up to Painkiller. I got to work hand in hand with him, talking about tricks and talking about ideas and talking about, vision for your video part. I think that he really was open to a lot of the suggestions I was making, and he was able to go and deliver like fairly quickly. He was able to actionize any type of advice or encouragement I had for him. And that was cool to see. It was cool to see him growing into his own and also like checking in, and he'd start asking about this spot or that spot. Should you try this here or try this there? And I just tried to be as honest as I could with him and steer him in the right direction. And he obviously grew into his own. And this is like around the time the Joker came around and he did that hell bomb, and all that stuff was so gnarly. Then he really, after the Joker, he started taking off. Like he basically was like unstoppable on a rampage for like the next 2 years.
He got it.
I think Kanaan already had the formula for doing gnarly stuff. I just tried to really encourage him to build a complete part, to round out his skating the best he could, and to focus on, really photogenic and picturesque spots. It was a cool process to see him evolve and to see him, take encouragement and feedback and kind of actionize that and get results. And then he also started traveling on his own, and like it seemed like he really identified that he worked well on trips and that he was going to travel to this one location and just spend like 2 weeks in this one area skating everything around there, and he had like really great success with that. He was coming back with like more and more footage, and then I had a vision of just him being from Florida and kind of just being like pretty all-American. I really wanted to use Guns N' Roses for his part. And I just felt like it was such a good example of, like where he comes from. And I don't know, I was stoked to work on him with that. I mean, he obviously entrusted, his part to me to edit and like work with him on it. But it was a super smooth process, and Kanaan's really easygoing. Yeah, we worked great together, and it went well, and Painkiller was a success. And it was basically his first full Zero part. And it was like the brand introducing him in a formal way. And I think it went well.
I first started thinking about turning Dalton pro probably at the beginning of the year, but I've been really busy like since about February. So yeah, we managed to schedule it out, and now it's time. So I'm really stoked for that. We thought Dalton was filming a welcome to part, and it actually turned out to be his pro part. So that's coming soon.
After Painkiller, I pretty much told him like, hey man, we want to turn you pro, but I need you to film a pro part. So for the past 2 years, he's been working on a pro part. For the most part, I haven't really been too involved in that process, just checking in and encouraging him and really like letting him know it needed to be good. It needed to be his best skating to date. He just turned 30, and there's some pressure of that, like, is this window closing? But you know, obviously we're seeing skaters go way later in their careers now. You know, I just turned 50, and not to say that I'm anywhere at Kanan's level, but you know, he's 30, he's in his prime, and he's pushing himself. And he really took this part into his own hands. He hasn't asked me for much feedback or encouragement, really. He's just been doing his thing. That makes me feel really good, meaning that he's got it now, and he's pushing himself, and he knows what he wants to do. He knows how he wants to do it, and he has an idea even now for what song he wants to use and the way he wants his part to look. It's a pretty radical evolution over the past few years that he's adopted, and you know, I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, the Dern Bros YouTube channel and the fact that you guys are figuring out how to do video and how to present videos.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe.
So it's no longer like me thinking about that for him, he's thinking about that himself. So super excited for his pro part. It comes out in probably a month from this interview. I think that his skating, you know, is as good as Painkiller, but then evolved. It's gotten a little bit smoother. He's really identifying what types of spots he wants to skate and just kind of continuing to push himself. So it's cool to see. So whenever we turn dudes pro, we try and do one like classic pro logo board, because I feel like the legacy of Zero is in these like classic logo boards. This was actually sent to me by a friend or a fan of Kanaan. They had the E and the R just totally regular, and they put like a D and an N written over the N letters. And I like that idea, but then I like the idea of it just saying the full last name on top. And the black, red, and white just seems so classic and so cool.
And this is how it starts. You just have a really, really rough little sketch like that. Oh, okay, that's what I want to do. I want like a skeleton, like looking at you, but like through, like tilting his glasses like that. Like that might have been the first rendition that I did. Emphasis on the eyeball, because I know he likes the eyeball graphics, and the O's was the glasses, so bringing that into it. Traced that, put some eyeballs in there, sort of freestyled it, added the glasses to that, the headband. Final draw was this one. And then we added the text, and then we added a little bit of texture into that, so I traced those. And that is the artwork for this one. The first Dalton Dern Heroin board. Put the keys in there, and yeah, made it look a little Floridian.
This board is in a 2-board series with Brandon Burley that also just turned pro. Burley has a survival knife, and then this is a gas mask, and this is called the Survival Series. And we try and also make sure that each pro, when someone turns pro, they're incorporated into a series that kind of integrates them with the other team dudes.
And then French did this one. Killed it. Yeah, it was part of a series called the Hellscape series. It's like a wizard and a demon. Pretty awesome. Yep, those are the first 2 Dalton boards.
The final one is a tribute to Kanaan becoming the Joker. Just felt like it really suited Kanaan. I know he's the Joker for this Halloween, so it kind of just seemed like too perfect of an idea not to do. So the concept for us is to do one board that's specific to Kanaan, one board that's in a series, and then one board that is a legacy kind of logo board. So those are the 3 boards that we'll be holding up tomorrow. Welcome to the pro ranks. Don't blow it, kid.
I felt it was on the cards that Kanaan was going to go pro. I like, it was kind of obvious. I hit Jamie up, I was like, what are you thinking about Kanaan going pro? Because we want to turn Dalton pro and we could do it on the same day. That could be really fun. And he jumped right on it. He was like, yes, that sounds amazing.
I know the family would be stoked, and it'd be like the best case scenario for them to both turn pro on the same day. Foss called me like a month ago and said, we have all Dalton's boards in stock and we're turning him pro tomorrow. And I was like, what happened, Foss? And he's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't call. I was like, well, can you wait a month? We can get Kanaan's boards ready in a month. And he's like, yeah, I can wait a month. So Foss pushed back, they held Dalton's boards out of the catalog. We basically just went into high gear here. Originally we were gonna turn him pro with the premiere of his part, But people have been asking for his board for a year on Instagram, and it's kind of a hassle, to be honest. He's obviously good enough to be pro. He's got a big enough name. He checked all the boxes. It was just the video part we were waiting on. Now we know the video part's almost done. So we basically just put it into high gear and got all his boards done.
The boys have been skating, over 20 years, and the goal and the dream for them has always been to become a pro skateboarder. Over the years, we felt like they were going to do it. As time also goes on, you wonder, is this really going to happen? We knew they were close, but you just don't know, it just seems like, when is it?
Some of the skaters that we know turned pro at a very young age. Dalton and Kanaan never gave up. But this one day, 5 weeks ago, Jamie Thomas called and he said, "Hey Julie, how you doing?" "Fine." The first sentence he told me, besides asking me how I was doing, is, "I'm going to tell you something and it's going to be top secret. It's got to be, you got to keep this secret. Secret safe with me, you can trust me, Jamie." He goes, "Okay." Well, Dalton and Kanaan are going to go pro at the same time. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? That's something I never thought about. I've always thought about them going pro, but not at the same time. I'm like, this is great. I started crying, tears came down my eyes. I left the house and I wanted to go tell Mr. Jeff. I texted Jamie Thomas really quick and said, "Hey Jamie, I'm getting ready to walk into the store. Can you tell Mr. Jeff the good news?"
And the phone rang and it was Jamie Thomas. And I went, oh wow, Jamie Thomas, what the heck's he calling me for, He goes, "Hey, Julie wanted to let me personally tell you the news. Both your boys are going to go pro at the same time." And he told me that, and I actually got a little choked up about it because they've been chasing this dream for so long, and to see it gonna come. And he goes, "And I want you both to be out here when it happens." Just hearing it from Jamie Thomas, one of the legendary skaters of the, skate world, was just in itself. And I keep replaying that your boys are both going to go pro together. It just, I don't know. I can't even grasp how that sounded. What this is really going to happen for them, and something they always wanted. So it was really great.
So yeah, Jamie tasked me with kind of planning out how this can be executed. He told me we need Dalton and Kanaan at the same place, at the same time, somewhere that they're not going to wander off. So we came up with a plan to do a best trick contest at OC Ramps.
We're just going to walk out and surprise them, and they have no clue. We've been talking to them and acting like, oh yeah, we're at the ale house here tonight, when we're actually here in LA,
We have been sworn to secrecy, so these last 5 weeks have really been a lot. There's a lot of people we wanted to tell, but we made a promise, and so we've kept it really quiet.
We've fought for this for so long. It's just part of our life. I can't even grasp it. It's like Destin got his diploma and degree in college. Kanaan and Dalton didn't go to college, but this is like their diploma. This is the stamp that you gotta have to solidify the fact that you're pro skateboarders. It's got to be with a legit company, and it's got to be recognized.
I think for them, putting myself in their situation, I don't have a brother that's about to turn pro, but I can't imagine it being a better situation with both of them turning pro on the same day, and sharing so much of their journey together growing up, as brothers pushing each other, and to get to that milestone on the same day, I just can't imagine how good that would feel.
All right, today's the day. We are hours away from the moments Dalton and Kanaan turn pro. I'm about to head over to OC Ramps. They still have no idea. I don't even think the staff knows what's about to happen at OC Ramps tonight. We kind of had to talk to Dalton and Kanaan and figure out if, one, Dalton was bringing his girlfriend, which luckily he is, and two, if Kanaan was bringing Laise and Ozzy. Well, turns out Laise wasn't planning on coming. She'd rather stay home with Ozzy. It's kind of late for Ozzy to be out, but Laise can't miss that. So my parents got in their rental car and drove down to Solana Beach from LA to surprise Laise, pick her up, tell her the good news. That way Laise and Ozzy can be part of the crew that surprised Dalton and Kanaan tonight.
Papa just have something to tell you.
The reason we came here is because Kanaan and Dalton are both going pro tonight at the OC ramp.
And we came to pick you up.
And they don't
They're getting their boards. They don't know. Jamie Thomas, Foz will be there with the team, and Jamie Thomas and the Zero team. So we knew that you weren't going, so we had to drive all the way back to
come from LA to pick you
because there's no way you're gonna miss it.
But you're our family, and Ozzy needs to be there. Finally, this moment, yay! We've been waiting.
It's amazing. They're both gonna go pro together.
When I think things are, we've known
Getting
about,
better, just
I know we've known about this for 5 weeks, but we couldn't tell. It's feeling
Did we fool you? Did we fool you?
Did we surprise you?
What?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We've talked to Kanaan and Dalton both and calmed
Yes,
them all day.
I gotta go get ready.
I know, we're gonna help you. I think we surprised her.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We have a lot of cash to get out. So let's get things started. Time starts right there with that truck. Everyone needs to stop skating real quick.
What are you doing? What's about to happen? I don't know. What's about to happen?
We got a big announcement right here, right now. It's time. The Dern Bros are going pro. Don't get irritated. I'm the same fucking guy.
Thank you. How did you guys do that? I can't even believe it. That was the most unexpected thing in my entire life.
We got Foz here. We got Jamie Thomas.
Oh my God. This is insane. Oh my God. What? Oh my gosh. I can't believe it. It's been done.
Congrats, baby. Can you see why I was stoked?
Yeah. Love you, brother. Feel great, man. Fucking great day. Insane day, dude. This is crazy. No way. Yeah, Ozzy.
Give it up one more time for my brothers. They worked hard for this for a very long time.
I can't believe this is happening. What do you think of your graphics? How surprised are you? Dude, it's sick. You didn't see it coming at all tonight? No. What do you think of your board graphics?
It's unbelievable. I don't even know how to think right now. I've been wanting this for
You
so
didn't
long.
see it coming, huh?
Not at all.
You guys are the best surprise that you could ever had for me.
Zero skateboards, baby. Jamie Thomas was here tonight. That's insane. That's a blessing. This is one of the best skateboarders alive. Let's go.
Thank you,
For real.
To do this, you're gonna need at least one person, so I guess I'll use this kid. We're gonna decide who goes first with a game of rock, paper, scissors. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Bam. Alright, since I beat him in rock, paper, scissors, I get to go first and I'm gonna choose the trick. It's gonna be a front 50-50 down the ledge right here.